Good morning, dear students. We are going to complete our chapter Ecosystem and Ecosystem Services. Since last 2 days, we were doing studying about the ecosystem, types of ecosystem, and the services which are being provided by the ecosystem, of which we have completed provisioning services and regulating and supporting services. In this regulating and supporting services, one point was could not be completed yesterday. So I am taking that point first. That is erosion, prevention, and maintenance of soil fertility. Soil erosion is a key factor in the process of land degradation and desertification. You all know that because of soil erosion, the fertile land converts into desert, and even a desert can be converted into a beautiful forest, which you all have been studying during the community chapter, where the climax community reaches when it converts, when the desert slowly converts gradually into a forest. So because of this soil erosion, what we see that the process of land degradation and desertification takes place as the soil keeps on eroding. From the top soil will be eroding out, that it will be run off due to the flood water or heavy rainfall, or due to any circumstance. Even wind is also responsible for this. So the topsoil will be removed. Now who is going to hold this topsoil? That only plants can do. Here in this diagram you can see the roots, how the grass is holding the soil. So if the land is covered with grass or herbs, shrubs, trees, and a forest, then definitely the soil will not be eroded, and the roots of these plants will be holding this soil, due to which it prevents soil erosion. The soil fertility is essential for plant growth and agriculture and well-functioning ecosystem. For an ecosystem to be very healthy and functionable, this soil is essential. The soil should be fertile. Why? Because the soil, it supplies with nutrients which is required to support plant growth. Although these are the plants which are helping the soil to hold, but still even these plants need nutrients. So nutrients are present in this very soil. So from this soil, the plants will be taking nutrients, and in return, the roots will be holding the soil. So as I have told you, that in ecosystem, each and every factor is interacting among each one another, biotic as well as the abiotic factors. So if the plants are getting nutrients from the soil, in turn they are holding the soil and preventing soil erosion. Habitat or supporting services. We were all this yesterday we were talking about the regulating services. Now we are going to study about the supporting systems services. Now what is that? Habitat or supporting services underpin almost all other services. Whatever the services we are getting from the ecosystem, this all comes under the supporting system. Ecosystems provide living spaces for plants or animals. They also maintain a diversity of different breeds of plants and animals. For any animal or plant to breed and to live their life, they need a very healthy atmosphere and ecosystem where they can stay and breed among themselves, so that their population can be raised up. Now, the area where the species are staying or the animals and plants are living is known as the habitat. You all know that each and every animal and plant, they have their own habitat. As we see coniferous forest, they are available in the Himalayan region, and tropical areas will be having tropical evergreen forest. So the types of forest is also differing according to the climatic conditions, the topography, and the geographical area of the universe, you say, or world, or India, or the area where animals and plants are living. So what is habitat? Habitat provide everything that an individual plant or animal needs to survive. That is, they need food, water, and shelter. These are the three factors. If these three factors are in good condition, the animal population, or you can say the plant population, tree population, can be very healthy in that area. And if one of these, if either of these will be missing, so the animal or the plant, it will die off. Each ecosystem provides different habitats that can be essential for a species life cycle. Even for migratory species, you know that fishes migrate from sea to freshwater, and freshwater fishes migrate to sea. There are a few examples. For example, the salmon and this mackerel. They go from sea to freshwater and freshwater to sea for reproduction. There are a few species where they need change in the habitat. And even birds, you all know this migration of birds is very, very common. They migrate from the European countries to India and from India to other places. Even in India also, residential migration takes place. That is from Himalayan region to the southern region and from southern region to northern region. So this migration takes place because in search of food, water and shelter. If the climatic conditions are changing, they will go for the better favorable conditions where the favorable conditions are available for them. For example, in European countries during winters, it's very cold. To avoid that circumstances and the climatic condition, the birds will migrate to the lower regions, southern regions, so that they will be safe. And after that, that is unfavorable conditions pass out and favorable conditions approach, they go back to their area. So this migration is very common among the birds. You all know about it. Maintenance of genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is the variety of genes between and within species population. Genetic diversity distinguishes different breeds or races from each other, thus providing the basis for locally well-adapted cultivars and a gene pool for further developing commercial crops and livestock. Some habitats have an exceptionally high number of species, which makes them more genetically diverse than others and are known as biodiversity hotspots. So what does this means? That in ecosystem, the genetic diversity is also being maintained. You all know that India is biodiversity hotspot because it has good number of variety, diversity of animals as well as plants. Which are not present in the other areas, but there are hotspots differing from one another according to the area. For example, the species which are available in the tundra region, they are not available here. But for example, the tiger, which is the famous and very important endangered species, which are in good number in India, are not present in other areas. So there are hotspots, and this genetic diversity is being maintained in the ecosystem where the conditions are favorable. Now you can see that how the plants are helping to regulate our ecosystem. Here you see that the dead leaves are falling down and they form the humus. Humus, what is humus? Humus is the topsoil and it is very fertile. So the microorganisms, or you can say the earthworm and other insects, they convert this dead leaves, that is they decompose that material into small organic material, which can again be taken up by the small plants, mushrooms, lichens, and even the tree. These nutrients are available again to this tree. And in this, you can see that how the raindrops are falling down and they are slowed down, they are maintained. The canopy of this tree is slowing down the process of rainfall and the water is being absorbed in this soil. You can see the table is being raised, that is water table is being raised. And if you imagine that there's no tree over here or there's no vegetation over here and there's a barren land, what you see, whatever the rain falls here, it will be washed away, that is it will run off, and along with it, it will be carrying the topsoil, which is very fertile and important for the growth of trees. And if trees are absent, definitely the animals will also be missing. And this tree is giving habitat to various insects, small animals, small mammals, and even large mammals. They take shelter under this tree. So in a way, we see that one tree is helping in many ways. And carbon sequestration, this is also the one of the most important factor which can be provided by the plants, because these are the only producers which can trap sunlight and make their own food, and this food in the form of energy can be transferred from one trophic level to the other trophic level. Now here, as you can see in this diagram, the trees are present over here and how they are supporting this other animals, birds, insects, butterflies, and how they are taking care of the soil erosion, the water table. Everywhere we can see that these trees are helping to maintain the ecosystem. So the native plant communities, they are providing this support to the ecosystem. And in our next slide, you can see this is one habitat. What is this habitat known as? Aquatic habitat. In aquatic habitat, you will see that particular animals which feel themselves favorable to stay over here. And whereas in forest, you can see other type of animals, that is in the terrestrial or in evergreen forest, different types of animals will be there. In coniferous forest, different type of animals will be there. And similarly in desert, the diversity of the animals and plants will be very different. That is, in case of plants, you will see that xerophytic type of plants are present over in the desert area, whereas in this aquatic area, you will see hydrophytes. That is, the plants which are easily able to live in this water can be seen here. Whereas in the terrestrial land, on the land, we will see different type of trees. So everywhere we'll see that there is a different diversity of plants and animals, and this is always been maintained in the specific ecosystem. That is why we say that the genetic diversity is also maintained by the ecosystem. Now we'll take a recap. What were the regulating and the supporting benefits? Purification of air and water. We have seen in our previous slides that how the trees are helping to purify the air and water. They are plants and trees, they are taking the carbon dioxide and in return they are providing us fresh oxygen. And similarly, the water is being trapped in their roots, and through transpiration it is being evaporated and the cycle goes on, so that the water cycle is maintained. And we all know that wherever the trees are in more number, the rains are very good over there. Mitigation for droughts and floods. Even as I have told you that if the number of trees are less, the soil will be eroded and it can the area can be converted into a desert. So we see that droughts are very common over there where trees are absent and the rainfall is very scanty or not present over there. And in floods, I have told you yesterday one example I have given you about the mangrove trees which are present in the coastal areas. These mangrove trees are very, they are able to grow themselves in the coastal areas in the salty water. And there they maintain themselves because they have a different type of diversity, different type of conditions in which they can exist and they can live very well. And in return, what they can do, they can maintain the water level, the water currents which are coming over. As I have told you, the tsunamis could have been slowed down if a good number of mangroves would have been there. But slowly we are seeing that there is degradation of mangrove trees in the coastal areas. Generation and preservation of soil, detoxification and decomposition of waste. Yesterday I gave one homework. I'll ask in the last that whether you all have written the names of the trees which are helping in this detoxification and decomposition. And I have given you the homework on phytoremediation. Pollination of crops and natural. This is also being regulated and supported. Dispersal of seeds, cycling, control, protection, and these are all the regulating and the supporting benefits which were provided and which we get from the ecosystem. Role of plants, we have seen that how they are helping in water purification, carbon sequestration, that is they are absorbing the carbon dioxide and in return they are giving oxygen. Flood prevention, the trees and ecosystem are helping. Waste treatment is also being done by these plants. Even the nutrient cycle is being maintained in the ecosystem. We see that all the litter and the dead animals, they all are decomposed and the nutrients are present in this soil, which is again being taken up by the roots of the trees and plants, and these producers are providing food to the consumers. One single tree, if you see that what they can do. The leaves and branches absorb sound, block rainfall. I told you that the trees, when they are nearby to each other, the canopy will act like an umbrella and they will block the rainfall. That is, they will slow down the water droplets so that it can be absorbed in the soil and the table content, water table can be maintained very well in the soil. Roots stabilize soil, prevent erosion. Roots, leaves and trunk, what they can do, provide habitat for birds, mammals and insects. Leaves, they provide shade, reduce wind speed. The leaves, they filter pollutants from the air, what I have told you in the phytoremediation, okay? And leaves, they give cool breeze. Whenever we feel very hot, we search for a tree so that we can stand under the shade of that tree and we feel very cool breeze. That is because of this evaporation, the transpiration process in which the water is evaporated, as the cooling, we feel that coolness and the cool breeze under a tree. Now the last one is our cultural services. Even these cultural services are being provided by the ecosystem. What is this cultural services? Whatever we are enjoying, recreation. If whenever we feel that it's very good, it's very rainy and it's very good, the climate is very good, what we feel, we have a thought that let's go for a picnic. So where we go and beautiful landscapes or some waterfall. So these all come under the cultural services. Cultural services include the non-material benefits people maintain from contact with ecosystem. They include aesthetic, spiritual, and psychological benefits. All these benefits we get from the ecosystem. Recreation and mental physical health. Walking and playing sports in green space is not only a good form of physical exercise, but also lets people relax. We can see this is very common. You all know that every person wants to go to a park early morning so that he or she can walk or do some yoga or exercises and in turn feel relaxed. And the health conditions also are improved because of these physical activities. The mental stress is also being relieved. So this all is because of this ecosystem. If there would have not been any single park or anything like that, so where we would have gone? All the mental stress would have been in our mind and we will always feel ill and the person will not be, come out of the stress. Tourism, this is also one of the very important services being provided by the ecosystem, and in return it gives huge money also. Even the tourism in this 2019 in US dollars, because of the tourism, the money which has been earned, you can see this figure 5.9 trillion. This is a huge amount which is being earned, and this is earned from the ecosystem. The ecosystem is giving the chance to the person to earn. What we are getting from Ranthambore, what we are getting from other resources from where we can, this tourism can be developed. Aesthetic appreciation and inspiration for culture, art and design. These are also all the landscape, the spiritual experience and the sense. You all can take the example of Ajanta Ellora. What are those? They are the areas, the mountains or the caves. That is also a beautiful ecosystem from where the mountains were given the form of Ajanta and Ellora. And there are other beautiful Nigeria falls, waterfalls, natural waterfalls, natural mountains, natural Himalayan regions. These are all the areas where a person wants to go and relax there so that he or she can feel stress free. So what we are getting from the cultural benefits from an ecosystem is that provision of aesthetic beauty and intellectual stimulation, spirituality, provision of spaces that provide opportunity for recreation. For recreation, we often go in the beautiful landscapes, open green areas or some waterfall areas so that the person can be relaxed. Also, most if not all human behavior, whether individual or in groups, is mediated by culture, making anything we engage, food, shelter, religion, a cultural act dependent on the goods and services provided by ecosystem. So what we see that all these benefits, whatever we are getting, maybe it is cultural form or in regulating form or provision form, this is all what we are getting from an ecosystem. So to keep the ecosystem healthy and equilibrium, what is that the energy flow should be proper. That is, we all know that in food chain there are different trophic levels, from producers to herbivores to consumers, the first consumer, second consumer, tertiary consumers. So in this we see that there is a shifting of energy, and if this energy is being maintained, definitely the ecosystem will maintain its equilibrium. And all these services are interrelated to each other. In an ecosystem, there is interaction among all the biotic as well as the abiotic factors. No individual or independent factor is there. They are all interdependent to each other. Now, what are the issues? Now, what this frog is telling to the other frog: dummy, you just ate the last female frog in this pond. Now, what message he wants to tell? You all know that there should be a proper ratio of male and female in among all organisms, so that the population can be maintained, the gene pool can be maintained, the genetic diversity of the ecosystem can be maintained. So, for example, there are many endangered species. Why we have given the name endangered? Endangered means that the animal or that tree is going to be extinguished if the conditions will not be provided properly so that they can maintain themselves. Otherwise, a day will come like dodo, they will extinct. Now, what are the other issues? Regulating and supporting services flowing from natural systems are undervalued by society. Why we are telling undervalued? Because we are not able to understand the value. Wherever we feel that the industry should be put, we will not think anything and will cut the forest and give permission to the for industry or some road or. So we have to first go through that area and see that how it is going to affect other systems, other habitats, or the diversity of other animals and birds, how it is going to affect. We have to first value all the things and then plan in a proper way, because we are not going to tell that we should not develop. Definitely we want to see development, but it should be in a proper way. A continued lack of awareness will dramatically alter the Earth's remaining natural ecosystems within a few decades. If we are not aware, or if we are not able to understand the importance of the ecosystem, so we are going to dramatically change it. And we are already seeing it. all the natural disasters which we are facing every day. In news you can see that today there's a cyclone over there, there was a landslide over there, and even in Kedarnath and Amarnath you have seen that how floods were so furious that many lives were lost. So these are all the man-made disasters. So we are responsible for it. And what we can do? What shall we do? So we all have to make ourselves aware and makes other also aware that if we will not think in a proper direction, we are going to lose all the beautiful ecosystems. And the ecosystem is the only system in our universe, in our world, that can provide us proper food, water, and shelter, without which we are also going to extinct. Now, if we are not going to value, so what here we are seeing, all the trees and plants, they have been wiped off. Stone quarrying is one of the example, where the mountains and mountains are being disintegrated, and a time was there when we saw some beautiful mountain with very good hilly area, but slowly due to the stone quarrying, we see that the mountain disappeared, and now there is only heaps of piles of small stones, rubbles, which are of not any use. So we have to think, we are responsible for that, and the threats, it should not continue. Fragmentation, as I have told, that now we want to develop or construct a road without thinking, just we cut all the trees in between the forest and develop, construct the road. And what we see, that the animals, they have been fragmented. Because of this divider like road, the animals over here are unable to cross the other side, or if they are crossing, they are facing accidents. And one best example is our Kota Jhalawad road, which is crossing the Mukundra Tiger Reserve. It is a very big threat to the wild animals. Whenever the animal wants to cross the road, it has to face the face accident. So there should be some mitigation measures. We have to think about the mitigation methods. Either the vehicles should not move in a speedy motion, the speed should be controlled, for example, not more than 20 kilometers in the areas where there is dense forest. So we have to think in a very proper way that how we can save this beautiful ecosystem, and this is the place where we have to stay. We are the ones to live in that area, and without thinking about it, so we are not thinking about ourselves. We have to think for ourselves that if we are not going to pay attention or value this ecosystem, so we are going to lose ourselves. We are the ones who are going to extinct. Thank you so much.